We officially live in the stupidest timeline, folks, because Donald Trump's destruction of Iran's nuclear capabilities and the subsequent retaliation from Iran on a US airbase have all turned out to be a coordinated ruse. Not only because of shocking new evidence that exposes what the administration knew and what they knew they didn't accomplish beforehand, but Donald Trump also just gave away the gun and admitted the whole thing himself. So let's break down all of this damning and alarming evidence, and please subscribe and drop a like if you agree that there should be a regime change here in the US.
What do you make of the fact that this appeared to be a pretty limited response, Trey?
Yeah, John, good afternoon. We're getting more information from regional sources right now on this Iranian attack targeting the Al Udeid air base just outside of Doha, Qatar. The latest information that we have, according to the Qatari Foreign Ministry, they say these missiles were intercepted over the Qatari capital of Doha. They say there are no injuries on the ground, and the Qataris are condemning this attack launched by Iran. This is significant, but not unexpected. The distance between Qatar and Iran is just over 100 nautical miles, and this is a large base, the largest American base in the region, and it had largely been evacuated, according to one source that we spoke with before this attack took place. The Americans understood that Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain could be on the top target list for the Iranians in any sort of response following those strikes that were ordered by President Trump to go after Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. We're working to get some confirmation about reports that American bases in Iraq may have been targeted. But again, the information that we have about the Gulf is significant. There are air defense systems in Qatar, both the THAAD missile defense system and the Patriot system. And according to some initial video that we reviewed from sources in Doha, it looks like, if not all, but the majority of these incoming missiles were shot down overhead.
Right, it's not exactly shocking that the largest US base in the region was prepped for a potential Iranian retaliation. But here's where things start to get fishy. Because while Trump's Secretary Caroline Leavitt today maintained that the administration had, quote, a high degree of confidence that Saturday night's bombings took out Iran's uranium stockpile, J.D. Vance seemed to suggest the opposite. Take a listen.
So let me drill down on what was accomplished, because there's a report this morning in the New York Times that Fordo, that deep underground enrichment facility, was severely damaged but not fully destroyed. But the president said last night the enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Can we say that definitively, or are we just not sure yet? I mean, have those facilities been obliterated?
Well, John, severely damaged versus obliterated, I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. What we know is that the nuclear program back substantially. And again, John, I don't want to get into very sensitive intelligence about what we know, but I feel extremely confident, and I can say to the American people with great confidence that they are much further away from a nuclear program today than they were 24 hours ago.
The UN's Atomic Energy Watchdog said that Iran had 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium. Do we know what has become of that? Was it destroyed in this attack? Do we know? That's a big stockpile.
We're going to work in the coming weeks. Yeah, John, we're going to work in the coming weeks to ensure that we do something with that fuel. And that's one of the things that we're going to have conversations with the Iranians about.
Right. Odd that he says in the coming weeks we're going to do something with that fuel. But in our first bombshell from Israeli sources, they were quoted as saying that Iran moved as much as 880 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% purity from a secure nuclear storage plant in the ancient city of Isfahan. There's been widespread speculation since the bombings that Trump's threats on social media, including one post calling for Tehran to be evacuated, telegraphed the strikes to the Iranians and allowed them to take precautions to protect uranium stockpiles. Which, according to the New York Times, the batch of uranium moved is enough to make 9 or 10 atomic bombs and could be transferred in casks in about 10 cars. Satellite images taken of the mountain nuclear sites outside Tehran showed 16 trucks parked near an entrance in the days before the U.S. attacks. But then we got this. A former Israeli Defense Forces intelligence officer claimed today that Iran's retaliatory attack on the U.S. airbase in Qatar was carried out with full knowledge of the Trump administration.
Global affairs analyst Brock, it's fascinating to hear Iran officially telegraphing and saying publicly to Qatar, we use the exact number of missiles that were used on our facilities. And this is it. Essentially, this is very targeted. We're not going after Qatar.
Well, according to a source with direct knowledge, the Iranians coordinated this attack with the Qataris and with the knowledge of the Trump administration. And I think one of the evidence for that is that all those press statements were prepared in advance. The Qataris, 5 minutes after the rocket started flying, issued a 500-word statement that was already just waiting to be sent. And as far as I understand from my sources, nobody was surprised by this attack. And it really looks like a coordinated effort to, on the one hand, allow Iran to retaliate, but on the other hand, try to close this incident and not allow it to escalate even further.
I mean, that's incredible. That's really remarkable. What would this be it though? Total response from what we have seen the U.S. do in Iran over the last, and what Israel continues to do? Is it your understanding that this is it from Iran?
I don't know, but it definitely looks, again, if you put all the pieces together. First, what I hear from a source with direct knowledge, this was coordinated in advance between Iran and Qatar, and it was conveyed to the Trump administration. And the statements from both sides that, were prepared in advance. If you put all of this together, it looks like an attempt to try and shut it down here. Each side did its part, and now could be the time for de-escalation and going forward with some sort of a diplomatic track.
And the sheer incompetence to leave all of that out in the open seems to have forced Trump's hand, because just moments after that was reported, he posted this. Iran has officially responded to our, quote, obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected, and have very effectively countered. No Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will be hopefully no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. So if Trump coordinated with Iran on their retaliatory strikes and then was forced to coordinate with Israel beforehand, as we've seen, how are we not to believe that the bombing was also coordinated with Iran? And how are we to believe that all that uranium wasn't actually moved somewhere else, or that someone else won't supply it? All in all, Trump has been a complete weak bitch boy between Benjamin Netanyahu and Iran, and is desperately trying to spin the narrative that he is the savior of the Middle East, while quite literally admitting that they have his balls in a vice grip, and he is working with both countries to accomplish nothing. I hate to say it, folks, but maybe we should bring Elon Musk back so he can fire Donald Trump for waste, fraud, and abuse. This is fucking insane. I really hope MAGA wakes up to this, but I have very little faith in them. So folks, it is up to us to spread this information far and wide and make sure people understand what's really going on here. So if you agree, drop a like, subscribe, share this video, comment so it gets out there more. And thank you for watching and caring about holding power to account. We will continue to do so every day here at Really American, and I hope you join us.